I'm Adair Rowan, and today I want to talk to you about being in the grip of a tyrant. But I have a question before I get started. If I were to walk over to Josh and say, Josh, smack Tiffany, and Josh smack Tiffany, who would be responsible for that?
You. Tiffany.
Some said Josh, some said me. So the reason I ask that question is because we are responsible for the things that we say as well as what we do, which also means we're responsible for the results of what we say as well as what we do. And that is why we're talking about Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi today. Muammar al-Gaddafi. Now, Josh actually just went into his history, and we don't want to go back into that, so I just want to tell you a brief story and try to persuade you as to why this man here should go to jail, basically. He's not a very nice man, but it all depends on where you're coming from. But let's just go through his history. He has been labeled as the mad dog of the Middle East during the Reagan years. He's done a number of things, and many of you may remember that one of the reasons that we ended up going to war on the real, let's be on the real, was because, you know, he tried to kill Bush Daddy. But we're not going to even talk about that too much. September 1972, during the Olympics, Gaddafi sanctioned a hit on the Israeli Olympic team. 11 of their athletes were killed, murdered in cold blood during the Olympics. And this is an event that people from all over the world attend. The weapons were provided by Gaddafi. In 1973, August, Rome airport, some terrorists, also sanctioned by Gaddafi, killed 3 people, injured 55 others. 2 months later, or 3 months later, in December, in Rome, 5 Palestinian terrorists began shooting. 31 people died in this incident. This also has been sponsored by Gaddafi. Now, can you imagine? You're on an overseas trip. You've been given the opportunity to go to school. Maybe you're on vacation. You're having a conversation with the person sitting next to you. Little notes to you that your life is nothing to Gaddafi. So what does he do? He decides to place a bomb on your plane. And while you're having your maybe mid-afternoon snack, maybe you're taking a nap, the bomb goes off, killing you and everyone on board, along with people who happen to be on the ground beneath the plane. Now, a lot of people died in that incident. For instance, we have this shot here of a playground that was dedicated in the memory of a young lady who happened to be around 30 years old at the time of this incident and lost her life. On that plane were a number of young people, a lot of high school students who were being given the opportunity to go to London and various other places to study. And, well, Gaddafi felt like their lives meant nothing to him. Now, how many of you like to go to the club on occasion, maybe go dancing, have a good time? Imagine you're in the club, having a good old time, minding your business. Maybe you're hanging out with some girlfriends, guy friends, and whatnot. And little bit knows to you that Gaddafi decided to plant a bomb in the club that you happen to be visiting that day. Okay? As Josh pointed out, this club was totally demolished. Loss of life was in the hundreds. It was also found that by East Germany's intelligence agency that there were a couple of individuals who were responsible for this. And actually, more recently in 2004, Libya agreed to pay $35 million in reparation to the families of some of the victims. So that means they basically were admitting to being complicit in the acts. Now, how many of you have relatives that may possibly be in law enforcement, maybe in the military? Okay, and they may be on a particular assignment that says you're to protect a specific area. And little bit known to them that well, they don't believe that the people that they're protecting are going to attack them. But this young lady, Yvonne Fletcher, an on-duty officer in London at the Libyan embassy, killed by individuals who were at the Libyan embassy. But you know what? How many of you have seen Lethal Weapon? I don't know if you remember Lethal Weapon, that there were individuals who were committing crimes and they were being protected by diplomatic immunity. Yeah, well, that's what happened. Now, in 1996, We had the Abu Salim prison massacre is what it's been labeled. And what happened was the people there were protesting. The inmates were protesting. They wanted to have edible food. Not the greatest food, just edible food. And sanitary living conditions. But in response to their protest, they were herded into a narrow area, gunned down. Grenades were launched into the crowd, killing anywhere from 12 to 1,600 individuals. Now, some reports, well, there have been reports that indicate that what they did with the remains of those people were to build a wall, actually line a pit, dump all the bodies in the pit, and build a wall over their remains. And for a long time, nobody knew. People who had relatives in that prison didn't even know that their relatives had been killed. And so only recently, in the last 3 to 4 years, has there been any reference to an investigation regarding this incident. So, the question, I'm sorry, and some of these pictures are also pretty graphic. I mean, just the bodies, the blood. But in response to my original question, since Gaddafi happens to be the leader, and his words incite people to do certain actions, should he not be arrested for orchestrating these crimes? Should he be charged for these crimes? Should he be convicted? And possibly, should he serve time? Yes? I think so too. Thank you very much. Thank you.